Mother, why do you like dinosaurs? Because dinosaurs are cool.
My most viewed video last year, and one of my most viewed videos of all time, was the review I did for Dinosaur Sanctuary. Now, the main reason for that is that it had a huge signal boost, thanks to a retweet from Itaru Kinoshita himself. But between the success of that video and a book I've started working on, I've been reflecting a lot on dinosaurs and their enduring popularity in fiction. As a lifelong dino nerd, I have a hard time gauging what dinosaurs are even considered popular by the masses. Like, some of the most frequent dino movie stars are pretty obvious: Tyrannosaurus, Triceratops, Stegosaurus, Apatosaurus, etc. But then you get things like Velociraptor. Is Velociraptor actually popular, or is it just the Jurassic Park raptors being popular because Jurassic Park is popular? Is being put in a movie a sign that you are popular, or is it the movies that make you popular? I think the former was true back in the days of Ray Harryhausen and Walt Disney, but the opposite is true today. Like, the last Jurassic World movie had a chase scene featuring Atrociraptors, which were Atrociraptors in name only, but that's the Jurassic franchise for you. But I really doubt any of you knew anything about Atrociraptors before that movie came out. And if your only experience with them is from the Jurassic franchise, then you still don't really know anything. There's this impulse within nerd communities to, actually entertainment, and I don't want to come off as doing that. Our understanding of prehistoric life is constantly changing, and even the most up-to-date models you see in stuff like Dinosaur Sanctuary or Prehistoric Planet may one day fall out of favor. The only way to really future-proof something is to make it entertaining, or to put in a lot of effort into portraying the dinosaurs as living animals instead of just mindless monsters. But that can be counterintuitive considering they do work so well as movie monsters. There's a couple reasons for that. First is that they at least vaguely resemble dragons, which are an ever-popular staple of fantasy. But unlike dragons or any other mythical monster for that matter, dinosaurs really existed. They're not just creatures conjured from the imagination for heroes to fight. They also don't really resemble animals that exist today. So many monsters throughout history are either a regular animal but bigger, a regular animal with extra appendages, or multiple animals mashed together. This also speaks to the evergreen popularity of dragons. While they do have features in common with lizards, snakes, birds, and bats, it's all negotiable. Dragons are unique in their customizability, which is why they're so attractive to writers and artists. Dinosaurs also have features in common with birds and reptiles, but there's also a lot of differences that make them seem cooler than just big monkey or big lizard. Indeed, it is their size and otherworldliness that made them popular in adventure stories like The Lost World or early films like King Kong. However, it is important to note that dinosaurs were already popular before any of that stuff came out. The Lost World was published in 1912, which was about 20 years after the highly publicized Bone Wars ended. The Bone Wars were a big scientific rivalry between Othniel Charles Marsh and Edward Drinker Cope, where they competed to find and describe the most dinosaur genre, and ended with both of them bitter and financially destitute. And while the nature of their rivalry caused problems for future paleontologists, they did make critical breakthroughs like Marsh's discovery and description of my favorite dinosaur, Allosaurus. While all this was going down, film was still a new medium. The first moving picture I could find featuring a dinosaur was Gertie the Dinosaur, the animated short film by Winsor McKay, which is also one of the first animated shorts ever produced. That film featured what was at the time the only dinosaur to ever rival Tyrannosaurus in popularity. Another one of Marsh's discoveries, Brontosaurus, which was actually a dubious genus and was probably Apatosaurus, which was also described by Marsh 2 years earlier. But now Brontosaurus is back to being a valid genus because some of the original material that was ascribed to Brontosaurus excelsus is different enough from Apatosaurus ajax, and it's a whole mess. Cladistics and etymology are more of an art than a science. The reason why so many dinosaurs have saurus in their names is because the first one described was Megalosaurus bucklandi, which was originally thought to be a big lizard, and that remains tradition at this point, sometimes to a comical degree. Just to further prove my point, probably the most famous hadrosaur is Parasaurolophus, whose name means near-crested lizard, and was named that because it was thought to be closely related to Saurolophus, which was described a decade earlier. This ended up not even really being the case. They are both hadrosaurs, but hadrosaurs are split into two groups, and these similarly named dinosaurs aren't in the same one. I would like to see a study linking dinosaur names to their popularity, but that's such a subjective thing that I would have to survey like hundreds of people, and I'm not the one to do that study or even report on it. I will, however, note that the only reason velociraptors are in Jurassic Park is because Michael Crichton liked the name. He originally wrote Deinonychus, whose discovery and description provided a lot of the framework Crichton was working with. Deinonychus was originally thought to be a cousin of Velociraptor, and while they are closely related, they are two distinct genuses. And that is why Jurassic Park raptors always resembled what we originally thought of Deinonychus. You would think that having a family named after you would boost popularity, but that hasn't seemed to help Hadrosaurus or Dromaeosaurus the same way it helped Stegosaurus and Ankylosaurus. Size really matters here. If a dinosaur was the largest of any given group between 1880 and 1950, then it is almost certainly popular. This is definitely why Brachiosaurus is so popular, despite not being anywhere near the biggest sauropod anymore, and also being known from such few remains. Distinctive traits or fossils that change our perception of related species are also big contributors. Spinosaurus was always popular, but back in the day it was just an Allosaurus with a sail. The 1986 description of Baryonyx not only introduced us to a cool new dinosaur, it also showed that there was a whole unique family of crocodile-like theropods, and that Spinosaurus was part of that group, leading to a new look for Spinosaurus. This got even muddier when we discovered more specimens of Spinosaurus, and discovered that it didn't actually resemble Baryonyx very much after all. Maybe the amount we don't know is what captivates the imagination. Purely imaginary monsters aren't real. They're only ever as interesting as a writer makes them. Real animals leave nothing to imagination. They're only as interesting as you perceive them to be. Extinct animals, especially those as unique looking as dinosaurs, hit that sweet spot in our ever-expanding understanding of them, means that creatives will always have fresh material to work with. I was originally wanting to go into specific tropes associated with dinosaurs in the media, but I think that would be better suited to a follow-up video, or maybe even a whole series of videos where I review and rate various dinosaur films, books, shows, games, and maybe put them all on a tier list or something. That's it for this video. I'm Mediocrity4. Thanks for watching.